when you're especially in like a downward spiral and things are not going so great, you tend to get like it tends to get like pretty bad, pretty soon. So I think it was important for me to have stuff outside of Valorant and have my own like identity as like a human being outside what I do in Valorant.
Seija here. I'm currently here with Evil Genius's Ye, finally making his debut in the VCT Americas stage.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's been a long time coming. I just kind of want to chat about you about this because it's been a while since you've even played in North America. So, talk to me about playing on the stage. What's it been like for you? Just taking it all in.
I think it's been like a pretty cool experience. It's great to see like all the fans that I have like over over here in like North America. Just because at least during the time I played, we didn't have crowds, especially in like the North American region. There's like one or two I had it, but it's good to have like a North American crowd and see all the fans that I have here. So it's been a pretty humbling experience, and yeah, it's been great overall.
And something I wanted to just ask you about was just kind of the career trajectory in Valorant because you've had one of the biggest kind of juxtapositions I've seen where player of the year, yeah, player of the year, and then kind of taking a step back. During that time where it was hard to find things that were going right. Um, how do you maintain some sense of positivity and optimism during that time, and tell yourself, I'm still that player that was player of the year and things like that.
To be honest with you, I mean, it's something I struggle with, still to this day. Um, I think for me, it's like when you're going down in a spiral. And I think this applies to almost like anyone. It's kind of like a hard hole to kind of like dig yourself out of. So for me, I guess what I had to do was essentially try to find like some positives in like every single day. Obviously talking with friends help out a lot, and meeting with like even like some professionals on the occasion to like get like a better grasp and sense of like what's going on. So I think in the moment it's good to surround yourself with people who care, and also to try and find just things to be grateful for like every single day, and not focus so much on like what is going wrong.
Yeah, I actually saw that you did an interview with Ravish Khanna where you talked about this aspect of you have a tighter group, like a smaller but tighter group of close friends. Can you just talk about that more and kind of why that it's kind of shifted to that and the benefits you have in kind of having more of like yeah, kind of like a tighter group of friends like that now.
Yeah, I think it's good to just have people who both they're realistic with you. Finding friends that won't shy away from the truth, and like they won't be just like yes man or like that sort of thing. But it's also important to have people who you just generally care about you and like their opinions, because I feel like if you just base it on whether it be the community or like other people like in general, it's like if you base your self-worth off of that, it's like I don't feel like you'll ever be like happy like almost, so it's important to have like good self-worth, and yeah, just having a good tight group of friends, so you're also not like a narcissist essentially, so
Do you feel like you're basing your self worth before off of things that you view now not the healthiest?
yeah, I would say like in the past, like I used to base my self-worth a little bit off like especially like Valorant in general and just how I was performing and how I was doing, because it's such a big part of my life. It's something that I practice like quite literally 13 hours a day. It's my whole career job, and like for a while, my dream. So I think what's happened mainly is when you're especially in like a downward spiral and things are not going so great, you tend to get like it tends to get like pretty bad, pretty soon. So I think it was important for me to have stuff outside of Valorant and have my own like identity as like a human being outside what I do in Valorant.
I'm actually curious, like what were those things outside of Valorant that you discovered that, not just Ye, but Jacob is.
I think it was just separating both like me as like a person and yay, like this identity that is both like what I perceive of it and like what others perceive of it. So things like I would say like starting to go to the gym, that's like something that's like a positive for me that I'm doing for myself that's not related to yay as a player. Or it could be something as simple as like, I don't know, I made my bed today, and that's something as well. It's like another positive that I did outside of Valorant. Valorant isn't going so well, I am doing all these other small things that are a positive essentially.
Mhm. Yeah, and we spoke way back in 2021 before, like online, and one of the things that always stuck with me was kind of how you talked about how there was a period towards the tail end of your CS:GO days
Yeah.
into the transition to Valorant where you would start to ask yourself, what type of person do I want to be?
Yeah.
Was that a question that you would come back to a lot during this kind of rougher
Yeah.
stretch in your life?
I think so. I think it's a question that people have to ask themselves like every single time. Because I don't, I don't know. I think goals and dreams and things change over time for like some people. Like I don't think anyone's ever just fully static on like one thing like their entire life. So you constantly should like reevaluate like what matters to you like ultimately, and like what is important. So uh, I I would say that that changes like throughout just a person's life.
I believe you're like 26 now, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm saying to you. Uh, I
are
just yes. So something that I kind of just wanted to ask you because I feel like that age and 25 onward,
Yeah.
you start to really think about things differently in terms of just the priorities in your life.
Yeah.
For you now when you're 26 at this age, how have the things that matter to you and your priorities shifted at this age and as you've kind of just matured more?
I would say I went from only caring about like Valorant and like disregarding like everything else, and I put like a lot more focus on just like myself. I would say like in general, and just making sure like I'm more happy as like a human being. I would say I wouldn't say my priorities have really shifted. Um, I to be honest with you, I went through like a rough period I want to say like 3 or 4 years ago, like before I came to Valorant. Yeah. So I was able to figure out like who I am and like what I want to do from that point forward. It hasn't really changed like too much. So I feel like I'm still on the right path. I still have the same priorities and the same like, I guess, drive. But what I'm trying to avoid, I guess, like nowadays is just like trying to fall in like one of those spirals again, where it's just like, because I'll be honest with you, losing just feels like the world's like ending to me sometimes. It really feels like it's it almost makes you want to like curl up into like a ball, and just and like sob sometimes. Like that's how it feels like sometimes to me. And I know it's not the healthiest thing. So it's something where it's like I've been trying to like get a lot better with that, so I don't go through these like periods of like where I'm, high all high on the world, everything's going great, but other times I'm just like deeply depressed, So that's what I've been trying to do is have more of like a balance essentially. So that's where my priorities have kind of like shifted towards.
And it's really cool to hear that perspective because I imagine when, like you said, you're playing 13 hours every single day, and
Yeah.
a lot of your day because of that becomes you as a player and your performance.
Yeah.
I imagine it's just really hard not to. It was really hard not to think about if I'm performing bad, then most of me is just like I'm not enough unless I'm performing.
Yeah, I mean, you're 100% right. It just became something where it's just like my my day's ruined if I'm not performing. It does that make sense? So it's good to like I said, separate those two essentially.
And I just wanted to give you this final minute just to talk to your fans and just people that have stuck with you. It's been a bit tougher to kind of just maintain consistency during this period of time.
Yeah.
So just talk to them.
Sure. First off, I want to thank to everyone who has sent me like really kind messages and supported me throughout. Yeah, I guess like for me, it's hard in the moment to see like, especially if there's like yeah. Usually, what happens is like I think with like just human beings in general, negativity in general gets heard a lot louder than, for example, like positivity. So I really do want to thank all the people who have stuck by me despite like everything that's been going on around me, because it does mean like a lot. I mean, I remember when I first turned on my Twitch stream after like, I don't know, it was like a year essentially, and seeing all the love and support and like kindness that people were getting, just happy to see me back, and not even so much like even like perform. So it was really really great to see, and I'm hoping to show a new me, this coming up.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.